sounds of lip-smacking goodness and happy chatter splattered through the air. The train of steady platters refused to stop. With each edition, our joyful chef would sing out the details of these newest arrivals. Everyone applauded. My crew was in heaven. Great food, great company, and a great chef on camera. I just felt sick.
Come fly with me, come fly, let's fly away.
2 tickets to paradise and make it snappy.
Attention passengers, we need another volunteer.
Cabin crew, prepare for takeoff.
Hello, and welcome to Come Fly With Me and Other Travel Mischief. I'm John Lapidese, and these are my personal travel stories of adventure, mayhem, foolishness, and swinging through the jungle of life. This week we're visiting Florence, Italy. The guys and I shoot our way through our own private chef's table. It's course after succulent course, and everyone's in heaven, except me. I caught some travel bug, and I'm about to lose my antipasto all over the Ponte Vecchio. But will the fire in my gut bring redemption to my suffering soul? I hate this effing town. The birth of Venus. Michelangelo's David. Yes, we're talking about Florence, or Firenze, if you want to pretend you know Italian. It had been a crazy year, and I found myself in Firenze 5 or 6 times. A few of those were with my family. We ran around like the tourists we were, buying Florence t-shirts and toys for the kids, laughing and eating gelato on the terrace of the Uffizi Gallery. We even enjoyed an elegant family meal at a charming little restaurant near the Ponte Vecchio. Just think about that for a moment. An elegant family meal. Only in Italy. Now I was back with the guys, my video crew. We were bouncing from city to city with our client, a tour company. We started out in Milano, where we had the best burrata available, outside heaven. We'd gone to Lake Como and sailed by George Clooney's home, and then on to Bellagio, Verona, and Venice. We had eaten like the spoiled little princes we were. Once again in Florence, I was gathering up the usual Renaissance landmarks for our shoot. I was also getting a little too smug. In the city center, I didn't even need a map anymore. Here I was, pointing out shops, churches, and restaurants to my crew, like some tour guide leading his group about with a little flag. At night, we went out drinking, but it should be noted that we also went window shopping for bags and purses for our wives and girlfriends. You cannot go to Italy for several weeks and not come back with some fine Italian gifts. We bought many fine Italian gifts. It was also here in Florence that our client told us he wanted to do a shoot with a popular chef at his restaurant, a cute homey trattoria. This sounded like a fun evening. We had shot at lots of chefs' restaurants and chefs' tables. You always got an inside look at how the sausage was made, and it was usually a really nice sausage. And then you got to eat it. We would be joined by a couple of travel and food writers reporting on this special meal. Altogether, there would be about 10 of us, eating, shooting, and writing. The chef and his staff were charming, friendly, and helpful in every way to my crew. Some people find it an imposition when a film crew wants to run their cables, hang lights, and generally get in everyone's way. Who can blame them? It's as if a construction crew just moved in, but those who are media savvy welcome the inconvenience, for they know there will be a positive video stream coming out the other end. Speaking of which, as the evening began, I wasn't feeling quite myself. Strange rumblings and a vague sense of unease was starting to percolate from somewhere inside. This isn't supposed to happen in Italy. This sort of thing is supposed to happen in India. But I'd been to India, and had dredged my way through rivers of lamb vindaloo and chicken tikka masala, and nothing happened. I'd been as solid as a bar of titanium. Now here in first world Italy, I was getting wobbly, but I had a shoot to do, so I stood tall and clenched. I would feel better. I would shoot. I would eat. The Grand Bouffe. The chef turned out to be even smarter, funnier, and more gregarious than I had anticipated. Standing in his kitchen over hot ovens and steaming plates, he made jokes about the roast in his delicious accent. I think the accent was his prime ingredient. Crew member Tim recalls.
He was a giant of a man. He was huge. He was, one would expect an Italian chef to be. Gregarious, big hands, vivacious, making sure that everyone was just having a good time.
Hence the parade of dishes began. Appetizers, soups, breads. Our camera followed this procession from kitchen to the large table laid out for the group. Everyone fawned and clamored to get up close to the plates. We shot, the writers wrote, and 10 hungry faces gobbled in. Except for me. The sounds of lip-smacking goodness and happy chatter splattered through the air. Like in the movie Big Night, the train of steady platters refused to stop. With each edition, our joyful chef would sing out the details of these newest arrivals. Everyone applauded. My crew was in heaven. Great food, great company, and a great chef on camera. I just felt sick. The group kept on laughing and gorging themselves. I couldn't touch a thing. I was having trouble standing. Then, when the happy chef called me back into the kitchen to show off yet another unbelievable festive course, I thought I would swoon. I could barely hear him as he rhapsodized over the roast duck he now practically suckled in his arms. I had to get out of this hellhole. I stumbled over to my client and explained the situation. I put my hand over my stomach for further emphasis, and also as a visual aid. We were about 3/4 done with the shoot. Only the duck remained. Between large succulent bites, he nodded, okay. His mouth was too full to speak. I stumbled over to my cameraman, telling him to take over. He turned from the camera, smiled, and gravy dribbled down his chin. I fled into the night. The cool Florence air brought little relief. In fact, I felt worse as I walked through the ancient streets. My legs went numb, and I collapsed down upon the medieval curb. I felt terrible abandoning my crew, and wondered how they were getting on without me. I later asked Tim how they managed.
So you left, huh? I didn't know that.
Did you notice I was missing after... you were eating?
No, absolutely not. Not a clue in the world that you had left the table. No, I was pretty much into my own little food scene, my food and wine scene at that stage. Didn't miss you at all.
The Inferno. Through teary eyes, I watched all the happy tourists, laughing, talking, shopping. I looked up to see the bright lights shining upon the Florentine basilicas, with their pinnacles and buttresses. It was all too grand. The piazzas, the palazzos. I was choking on the richness. I moaned to the street. I hate this effing town. The exclamation brought instant relief, as if some internal cork had just popped. I drew a relieved breath, but then a cloud quickly descended over me. What did I just say? I questioned my astonished self. I had just referred to Florence as a town? What? A town? Like it was some stop on a sales route? Like it was Philly or KC or, God forbid, Reno? This is Florence, Firenze. This is the birthplace of the Renaissance, home to the Medicis, Machiavelli, Da Vinci, Botticelli, and more ethereal art than you could shake a stick at. What in God's name is wrong with me? And dropping an F-bomb on Florence to boot? You're going to be sorry you said that. A whiny little voice piped up, like some snitch in the back of my mind's classroom. More voices turned against me. Aw, what happened? Widow baby got a tummy ache, so he cusses at the cradle of Western civilization? An internal slugfest ensued. Putz, don't you see what you've done? Look around. God and the angels and all the finer souls have been watching from the church towers and those flying buttress things, and they won't forget you blasphemed this day. And there will be a price. You will pay for your lack of reverence, you ungrateful tourist. This truth was like a slap. It was a test. This had been my own personal trial, a measure of my grit. Could I remain steady, carry out my job, and ignore the discomfort? History records those who have been tortured, burned alive, and yet somehow kept their faith. Me? I cracked under a bad case of acid reflux. Sadly, I nodded. There's nothing left to do but go lie down in my room. I tightened up my core and slowly rose. The pain had returned. I stumbled toward my hotel, numbly calculating the consequences of my stupidity. The city was so beautiful all around me. I could see it once again, but I also knew there would be a reckoning. We left the next day. It has now been 10 long years since I hurled my wrath on the sacred streets of Florence. I have not been back since. I've wanted to go many times, but circumstances, life, and maybe even God have not allowed it to be. This, then, is the reckoning. I am doing my time. A big grazie to the bellissima stylings of the MIT Symphony Orchestra, Kevin MacLeod, UV protection, and color, plus our wonderful chef, Tim and the crew, and all of you for joining in today. You're listening to Come Fly With Me and other travel mischief. Look for a new show every other Friday. We'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and your own adventures. Please visit us at comefly.net. You'll find show notes, more podcasts, and also a little subscribe button there. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review on iTunes. I'm John Lapidese, looking forward to traveling with you soon.